name is Brian Pinkowski. I'll be discussing the subject of anti-corruption. Corruption and anti-corruption is a bit like politics. Most people have some experience with it, and everyone has an opinion about how to handle it, and by and large their opinions will be correct. You'll find the first part of this presentation very simple, but the concepts are important because corruption is one of the most challenging issues of our time. For example, World Bank has estimated that nearly 40% of Africa's aggregate wealth has fled to foreign bank accounts. 40%. The United Nations Development Program has found that some regions of the world continue to have high levels of administrative corruption and state capture despite the creation of anti-corruption agencies and almost 2 decades of attention. Many countries have hierarchical administrative structures, are politically controlled, secretive, and accountable much more to the vertical power than to the citizens whom public institutions are supposed to serve. Transnational criminal organizations flourish in such environments and are seen as threatening security and prosperity of countries around the world. For these reasons, it's worth taking a closer look at corruption. Many civilizations have come and gone throughout history, and although we don't often discuss it at this level, most people understand that failed societies were somehow corrupted. They were unable to maintain their positive growth and evolution. The goal of countries is to take whatever actions they can to prevent their collapse and failure. Of course, we all know something about corruption and what the word means, but when examining a problem, it's helpful to start with the words. So in this first video, we'll take a moment to look at the meaning of the word corruption and anti-corruption. If you pull definitions from several dictionaries, you'll see a few commonly repeated definitions as written here. These definitions are different from the public policy definition used by such groups as Transparency International, but we're trying to break this subject down to its most elementary level. We can see that the first definition, number 1, is not terribly helpful. It doesn't tell us what corruption is. But definition 2 starts to help. We see that corruption has something to do with the process of decay. We'll look a little deeper at the root word and see what the dictionary says about the definition of the word corrupt. These definitions for the word corrupt are more helpful. We can see that there's a general idea in definition 1 that someone is doing something inappropriate for money or personal gain. We see that this is not limited to money, but any dishonest act. We can also see the word describes someone that is evil or morally depraved. We'd have to check out a few more words to fully understand this, such as evil and morals and depraved, but for now let's just look at definition 2. As computer users, many of us will understand this. There was an electronic file that is no longer holding data the way we want. The file has stopped functioning perfectly. We've all had disk drives and flash drives crash and become unusual. What we mean is that the files have become corrupt. Something caused a corruption of the files and the drive is no longer what it was intended to be. And in definition number 3, we again get the idea of decay or degradation. These general definitions match much better with the understanding revealed in corruption surveys held by many people. It's not unusual for surveys to reveal that people will include rape and murder in their concepts of corruption. Now let's take a look at the origin of this word corrupt. When looking in a good dictionary, we can see that the origin of the word will be given. Examining the origins of a word will often give us a more solid understanding of the word than ordinary definitions alone. We can see here that the word corrupt most recently evolved from Middle English, that is, English as used in the 1200s. Earlier than that, we see that the word evolved from the Latin word corrumpere. Taking that word apart, we can see that the origins of the word corrupt or corruption means to altogether break. That is more helpful. A definition isn't any good unless you can use it. It's also no good unless you can restate the definition in terms that are workable for you. So to make sure we completely understand these terms, we're going to test them in a few applications. We'll discuss the corruption of objects, individuals, groups, and societies. This first video focuses on the corruption of objects. In later videos, I'll discuss the corruption of individuals, groups, and societies. When we corrupt an object, such as this block, we get something less than the original block. Corruption is applied to an object means to cause it to be less than its original form. Eventually, an object can become so corrupted that it no longer exists in its original form. It has ceased to survive. Though we typically use the word survive in relation to living things, we can use the word by analogy for corruption of objects. When something stops continuing its existence, we say that it no longer survives. This is the end of this verse video. I'm looking forward to you joining me for the next video where I'll discuss corruption of individuals. Thanks.